Committee to order. First order of business, approval of minutes.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first order of business, judicial center status report.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to tell you anything much, except I want to remind you that April the 25th is the big day. I hope as many as you can possibly be there, come. It's going to be an exciting day for Rutherford County.
Yeah, what time of day is that, Mayor?
4 o'clock,
4 o'clock.
You say the 20th?
25th of April. 4 o'clock.
Just around the corner.
So, and we've invited a lot of people. We don't know how many's going to come yet, but Sonia
Where we?
hadn't actually sent you invitations yet, or you're close to that?
I'm gonna be sending them next week.
Okay, so there you go.
No April Fool, huh?
That's right, that's right.
No April Fool.
So, I mean, we can, anything you want to know about it, I mean, let us know, but they're making great progress. Mr. Johnson's here, so he keeps up a little bit closer to what I do on the actual thing, but we have just, the outcome is wonderful with respect to what we've been able to accomplish.
Is this the last time the chariot before is open, on the 25th?
Yeah, well, if you wanted a special tour, we might could arrange that.
Well, I wouldn't ask you that, but
Right. But there's not another one scheduled that I'm aware of.
She'll be moving in after that.
Not that I'm
Is this the grand opening?
Yes, it
It's
is.
grand opening, unless you want to come March, May the 2nd, which is open for business.
May the 7th.
With the room and clean.
The difference
Never
is
know.
then is they will have all their records and stuff, so like now it'll be open because there won't be records. The furniture will be there and
Yeah.
fixtures, but
Only
Not
thing
the
that maybe
record.
Trey would be somebody that had to be there.
But this is a dream come true.
Yeah, some of you dreamed this 20 years ago, or whatever it was.
Have them come on,
We
we've
took
been
a
on
lot
it.
of heat on,
Over 20 years,
we took a lot of heat on the eminent domain on that strip up there too, didn't we, Mayor?
drug it out
Well,
and worked for
you guys,
years.
even I had to wind up with some of that little bit, but y'all took it to start with. We just finished up a few of them, finally getting them all completely settled. That's all I was just going to tell you about that, just to keep that in the, and the public is invited too, so I mean, we can say that, and they'll hear this as well.
Okay, next order of business, repurposing of current judicial building.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm gonna let Mr. Johnson come up here from Gresham and Smith. Now, what we've, the Property Management Committee has recommended option 7A, and the first thing that option 7A would entail would be repurposing and refurbishing and putting that judicial building over here in shape to occupy. So initially, I just thought we would, we don't have to have any, we don't have to take requests for bids or qualifications, anything for an architect. I said, well, we'll just hire an architect and we'll draw this and design this, and then if we get permission to do that, then we'll draw construction documents and we'll take bids. And in today's marketplace, and even with this kind of project here, it's, even though it's not near as many dollars, the complications of it are fairly substantial. And I thought, well, maybe the right thing to do would be the way we've done this judicial center. We've got a great team of folks assembled under the leadership of the PBA. We've got a great architect. We've got a good owner's representative, and we've got a good contractor. And if we could possibly amend our arrangement with the PBA to extend its responsibilities to doing just the refurbishing and the reconstruction of that particular building, I think the outcome would be great. So I was just going to let Mr. Johnson remind us all of how beneficial this process has really been to us in product and in cost and in real outcome. So all I'm not asking you to do anything now except give us permission to pursue this same approach And it may be, we have to jump through a few legal hoops to make that possible. We still have yet to discover that. But he's in this business every day, all day, and he sees how these things work, as opposed to just going out in the market and taking straight up bids from 3 or 4 folks and get some responses and be disappointed in those and have to iterate and iterate. So, Steve, you just summarize a little bit how important this is.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll, at a high level, sort of explain that, from my perspective, the differences of how the new judicial building versus a traditional design it, bid it, and build it, versus assemble the team at the beginning, set a realistic budget, and then the team lives within that budget. That's the fundamental difference of the two systems. So what that means is that early on you have the construction manager putting cost and schedule together that is accurate. They have skin in the game. They're talking to subcontractors. They're not committed to anybody else, but you get accurate pricing and you get accurate schedules that you then move through the phases of design, from schematic to design development to CDs, and you have a much better opportunity to control cost, control changes, and manage all that so that you get the maximum value for your dollar, versus the designer in a vacuum almost designing something and then putting it out to the market to varying degrees of contractors who are more or less qualified to do the job, and then you're subject to a low bid that then you have to battle. You're in a continuous battle all the way through, and you wind up often paying even more than what you should have, and you're getting less quality because you're in a combative relationship, versus assembling the team up front and going all the way through together. You know, you're in this together all the way through. That, I will tell you, that's how this courthouse is coming in on budget, with it actually coming in a little under budget, and that the county has had the luxury of doing some other things with their funds and enhancing the value of the building, and it is exactly on time and it is exactly on budget. And that didn't just magically happen. It happened by this team working together from the beginning. And I have the luxury and the great benefit of working with a lot of different kinds of clients in a lot of different situations. And I always recommend that this is the best way to deliver construction. And it just gets you control your risk, you control your time, and your quality for the dollar is better. You get more for your dollar. That's my kind of overview of it. A little more into the details. You know, you select people based on qualifications, and then you have them. You know, the way I was selected, and Bell Construction and the property and the program manager that the mayor referred to, we were all selected on our qualifications, and we turned in after we you know, the various people became the #1 ranked person based on qualifications. Then you turned in your estimate of what the cost would be, your bid, and then that was negotiated, and all that gets locked in early on. And for the general contractor, he's turning in his overhead and his profit, but then all the subcontractors are then bid and added on during the process as appropriate. And we used a technique on the Judicial Center called Design Assist, where we identified several of the major subcontractors, the envelope person, or the building glass and skin, the mechanical and electrical subcontractors, and they were selected the same way I was selected, based on qualifications, their fee, and their overhead. And then they had a target budget that they had to meet. It was not really optional, or they would be terminated and another subcontractor brought in. And that's exactly the technique that delivered the building that you're going to see in a few days. And so I suggested to the mayor that, and I don't exactly know how the legal issues work. We certainly have to be completely legal with everything. But I just suggested, we got the team here, you know, could we just keep going with the team?
To me, that seems to reasonable, prudent way to do it. I'm a firm believer in this old saying that you go home with whoever takes you to the dance. You know, the team is in place, and I believe expeditiously move the project along too, cutting down all this red tape and everything. So, to me, that's a reasonable way to do it. Of course, I've been wrong a few times, but I don't remember much about it.
But that's really, we just want sort of a blessing from this group here for us to try to move in that direction. We've got to be sure this can be done properly, legally. In other words, we'd like to use this same team, and we'd like to make an extension of the team that's already selected without going through all this team selection process.
Postscript, we've worked very closely with the PBA and that board, and I know you know who all those folks are, but they designated a project manager, not a manager, but a specific representative, Les, who was very involved in the design phase, and then the PBA has been very engaged in the process, and very much a part of it.
They've been on this project 4 years. They may not want another one right now. I don't know. We'll have to see.
You talked about some legal, maybe some possible legal issues. What would that be?
Well, the PBA is the only group that can do this kind of project as far as a government entity is concerned, okay? So they've gone through this qualification process and this selection process for a specific project, the Judicial Center. We'd like to see if there's a way that we can just use that process they've already used to select these people for another project that's related to but not exactly the same one, without going through all these hoops again about all this qualification process. So that's something for the PBA's attorney plus our county attorney to sort of work on.
Okay.
If they can get past that, we can make this happen.
Okay, any more questions? Concerns?
I mean, I'd like for you somehow to put something in the minutes that reflects your will, okay?
If you need a motion, all right. As someone with a construction background and as someone who has served several years on the PBA, okay, I don't think I knew that. Well, it was a long time ago. This is a expeditious and cost-saving and streamlined way to produce a hard building interior. The refurbishing is more of a challenge than new construction often. You're exactly right. And there's a renovation has a different set of challenges. It does indeed. And I don't know if there would be like a guaranteed maximum number that you would come up with at the end. I'm not sure, but I'm a total proponent, as Mr. Johnson, Commissioner Johnson just said. So I would make a motion that in lieu of any legal issues that prohibit us to do so, I would make a motion that we proceed with the refurbish or rehab, whatever you want to call it, of the existing
Judicial building
with the same construction and design project team as we have in place for the current judicial
center.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion on it?
And we do have very qualified people on the PBA that can do this. Absolutely, it's very qualified for it.
PBA has been a lifesaver on this project, no doubt. Call the roll.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cush.
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Yes. Okay.
Good luck. Careful what you ask for. Careful what you ask for.
Okay, next on the agenda, sale of annex to current judicial.
Okay, I mean, part of option 7A is to sell the annex, which is the bank building and the coin building. And
Thanks, Steve.
so I guess I just want your permission to craft some sort of a document that would solicit for sale, that building over there, and I don't know what all this is gonna mean, but I just want to be sure that, you know, that's where we're heading. We'd make that somewhat concurrent with what's going on with this discussion we just had here, so I don't know what terms, conditions, or other things we should put in there, but with some assistance from somebody that knows more about selling a building like this than I do, we'll get some help there, and we'll get some legal assistance, and bring back to you maybe next month an outline of maybe what the actual solicitation would look like, a public notice of that building for sale. So I just want your consent to pursue that and bring back to you something that would be at least a template for you to look at and see if it says what you think it should say.
I move that we proceed with, immediately with this project. Give the mayor whatever he needs to do, get it done,
And that's on the,
however it needs to be worded.
on the corn building and the
And the bank
Go-
building.
and the
bank
The bank building.
And whatever the legal description of that building would be.
We'll need to get a good legal description of what the property is precisely, along with this solicitation.
You heard the motion, it was second.
Second.
Got a second. Any discussion?
Mayor, in a situation like this, with a high-profile piece of property on a corner square like that, does the county try and sell that themselves, or do they solicit a real commercial real estate broker to try and help
I
assist?
thought about that a little bit, 525, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I guess this will at least give us a template to look at.
We can start somewhere.
Discuss it a little bit more, because
And maybe we cover everything that needs to be covered, and otherwise maybe we'll have to change it up and down until we get it like you want it.
I kind of think of the city selling the old First United Methodist Church building, and they were involved in that process quite a lot. And we might want to consider whether we want to have a little influence on what happens to this building when we sell it.
Yeah, I mean, it might be, after we sort of get a first pass at this, I might want to take you guys over in that building before the next meeting. And that might influence what you think we should do with it or not.
Bring your
do with it.
hard hat.
Bring your hard hat, yeah.
Yeah, bring your hard hat.
I've got one.
I've made a recent visit.
It's been a while since I've been in that building.
It's not as worth as much as I thought it was.
Have you thought about, before you put it on the market, you know, right currently, and you may not have thought about this, the two buildings are open to one another. Like there's no wall separating them, they're open. The
That-
coin building and the judicial building.
We're going to stop that separation, period. There won't be any connectivity
What?
between the two buildings.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Okay, now I understand what you're saying. I thought you were gonna leave it like that. And I was like, what? Wait. No.
We'll have to put a wall.
Put a special firewall or something?
They each have their own wall, but those doors that are there, a couple of doors are going to need to be
Going away,
They'll be
yeah.
gone away.
Go on, two separate buildings.
It'll have an open concept.
Open floor plan.
So I guess all I'm asking is just for the privilege of bringing back a beginning discussion point, and then. So,
Okay.
did we get a motion on
We
that?
got a motion and a second. Any more
Okay.
discussion? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cush?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes. Okay, any other business coming before the committee? No other business?
Motion to adjourn.
So be it.